want you to think back to the first time you ever remember being truly afraid. What was it? Does it stick with you today? This is the sort of thing that we talk about on the House of Asher. Won't you join us?
Hey everybody, it's Steve Asher. Welcome back to the show. This is episode 26, and what we're going to be talking about today is, anybody who's followed professional paranormal shows, and be it television or radio, there's always seems to be some sort of division, and there's always seems to be someone who is mad at another one because they got something that they either don't got, or they did something that they wanted to do, or they felt it's their domain. Anyway, so what I'm talking about is what I call the Pretty Little Liar syndrome. The goofy stuff that makes the paranormal field look goofier. It's sort of a thing that you kind of would expect to find in middle school, but it happens still. And then, I'm not clueless to the fact that obviously this is part of the human condition. People are going to cry about this or that. It's just the nature of it. But for people who more often than not claim to be more enlightened than the average Joe and seem to have some sort of situation going on where they have some sort of inroad to a higher mind or higher vibrations, it seems like sometimes still you're going to find that. And it makes me think back to one of my most favorite films, which is The Exorcist. And I knew that at the time, William Blatty, who I guess wrote the book and did all that for The Exorcist, had heard that Father Malachi Martin, the late Father Malachi Martin, was coming out with a book and all this touching on exorcism and all that. Well, the story goes, Blatty was livid. He was freaking out. He's like, how dare he? This exorcism and demons are my domain. Which I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, dude. Pardon the pun. He's a priest. I'm not sure if he was released from his vows of this and that at the time, but I'm pretty sure at the time he was a full-fledged, Eucharist given, wine sipping, all that, baby dunking priest. So, like, straight up. Well, there was a back and forth there. And it's funny if you take that even into the world of certain franchises. There was the Amityville Horror, which I dearly loved. The original, it was great. And it had subsequent follow-ups. Some were better than others. And I'm not trying to point hands at anybody. Amityville: The Possession. I'm just saying that for me, it started getting got a little creepy. Which, do not get me wrong, Hans Holzer had quite a bit to do with that next film, and I loved his work. He was like the dude for me, getting into studying research of stuff like that, and really picking it apart and kind of getting my teeth into stuff and learning. But I remember when I watched the movie, and I was a younger guy, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, it's sort of a jacked up family. And then you kind of have that whole where the older brother gets kind of possessed, and he starts kind of creeping on the girl that was from, I think she was in like an American Pie, and I think it was like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the girl that got pregnant and stuff. Anyway, I'm blanking her name, I'm sorry. Anyway, then he started creeping on her, and she kind of, I don't know if she creeped back or what she was thinking, but anyway, bad choices were made, let's just say that. So anyway, it was one of those like, wow, that's a 180. But the thing too is, then again, people were mad. It's just like, well, this doesn't tie in so much with the original idea of the hauntings, and a lot of people says, well, no, but this ties in maybe more with some of the stuff that was conjectured about the actual family, the DeFeo family, and some of that back and forth weird stuff that apparently had went on. And so there's people, that are going, no, it's going to be just like this, and there's other people that's like, come on, man, we have to give it room to breathe and be open to different stuff. For me, it was pretty hard. It was one of those things because I liked the franchise and I liked, some of the stuff, in 3D and whatnot, but it got to the point where, it was like, well, as I have kids, and so as they got older, and it's like, well, hey, I would love to show you some of my favorite films. Yeah, that one's good. That's good. Yeah, maybe not that one. And as they're older now, they saw the film, they're like, wow, that's cringy. So that's something that you fell into. But you have that sort of division, and it's hard sometimes not to get caught up in it, because you have a couple different schools of thought in regards of paranormal investigations. You got some of the people that are straight up kind of egonish, where they're going in with slide rules and different machines and checking the electromagnetic field of an area and this and that, and running that off of another area to to kind of use that as a sort of a test back and forth, to see, okay, well, what's the actual, is it phenomenon or is it from a natural thing, or okay, if we can coincide it with another situation. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting turned around. But what I'm saying is, you have people that are in there for pure theory, pure science, pure thought, pure results. Then you have some that are off into the lines of the mystic, that people that kind of delve into the world of spiritualism and delve into the world of some of these other more esoteric traditions. And I would probably fall maybe a little closer to that now. As I started out, I was probably a little bit more pure science, and I guess maybe just in time I became a little bit more of a believer in certain things. And that's fine, and sometimes these guys butt heads. It's that whole, conditioner is better, no, shampoo is better, that whole Billy Madison thing. It's just, let them both work together and let them both develop naturally. That's where I'm at. But then you also have a certain amount of people who are doing what I would call more or less, okay, am I on my mark and go? These are actors who have an interest in the paranormal. I'm not calling anyone out, but I'm just saying there's a certain line you have to draw if you're going to actually call it investigations. If you want to call it like a ghost hunter thing or whatever, or a ghost adventure thing, or a ghost whatever, maybe that gives you a little bit more room to push the boundaries and play around with stuff. I've never been one to try to agitate a spirit or whatever that energy is that people find in certain situations. I find it very crass. I find it very stupid, because especially if you're dealing with something that you think might possibly be a very old spirit, or especially a demon, this thing can mop the room up with you. Why would you ever think that you have the right and the power to do that? So it just leaves me kind of scratching my head, going, okay, so these are my contemporaries, and I don't mean that in some sort of elitist way, but because I'm sure there's things that I do that people kind of scratch their head like, really? But I come at you and tell you, like, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm just a hometown guy that does my thing. I'm a father. I work with special needs kids. But this is an interest that's been with me since my childhood, and it's going to continue, I'm sure. But you have to kind of step back and say, okay, what am I putting out? Am I trying to put off a little bit more of a professional vibe? Am I doing it for just clowns and yucks? Which is fine. There's nothing wrong. If you want to run a spook house, run a spook house. There's nothing wrong if you want to, have a site that touches on paranormal stuff, but it's maybe completely fabricated. Maybe stuff like creepypasta, which I know some people say that some of the stuff in creepypasta actually happened. Okay, cue the hate mail. But what I'm saying is, once you have the ability to talk to people, and they'll actually stop and listen to what you're saying, listen to your rap, and you kind of have a certain responsibility to go, well, okay, I have the ear of a certain percentage of the public. Okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to just fill their heads with nonsense or inflammatory stuff, and this whole, I hate this guy because he doesn't use PK meters, or I don't like this guy because of whatever. So it's just one of those things that's always bothered me, and I think it's going to continue. I think, in fact, it's gotten worse. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do know some broadcasters, and I haven't even got into broadcasting. I do not want to step on toes on that, but broadcasters and show executives and people like that who kind of go, hey, let's try to keep a neutral ground, like they said in Highlanders, is holy ground. There's no fighting here. That's how I try to do it. But if something comes to me, it's just, I think, inflammatory or hate speech or inciting dissent for the pure point of dissent. I mean, don't get me wrong. If there's something you question it. That's the nature of it. But once you get locked into a school of thought or in a certain group, and everybody kind of wears the same sort of shirt and has the same sort of vibe and the same sort of this and that, and we're going to go at it this way, and this is just how we do it, and it's, first of all, it's contrived, it's tired, it's been seen, so either come up with something that's really going to friggin' dazzle me, or drop the pretense. Just come at me and go, look, this is what I think I know. This is what I feel I've experienced. This is what I feel that I've collected. And take it and leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? It just quit trying to impress everybody. And I think we'll go a lot further. And the setups and the trying to hack people's accounts and the whole running people down, about whatever, especially like say if ufology and things like that. You see that a lot. You see it a lot in paranormal investigations too, which, I mean, I guess that touches on paranormal investigations, but I really hate to see it, and it sort of drags me down, and I hate to log on sometimes. That's why I keep to myself and I do my own thing. But I'm curious what you guys think. This should be up, on YouTube and a few other places. I want to know what you think. I want to see what your opinion is, and I want to know what your, if you do something different, or maybe if I'm completely wrong. Tell me, hey, Steve, you're a jerk, but, here's what I think. But I'm going to wind this down because it's starting to get pretty stormy out this way. And what I need you guys to do is take care of each other. Maintain the course. Keep positive. Keep truthful, and keep curious. I want you, as the night grows closer and the shadows grow long, even though it's the first day of summer, so it's going to be a little bit later today, I want you to check your doors, check your windows, check under your bed and your closet. You never know, you might have some super aggro guy that's wanting to come at you, and you might have to drop one on his head. But the main thing, until next time, I want you to stay scared. Good night, everybody.